A god's name. Once more towards our fathers. Good Lord, how bright and goodly shines the moon.
The moon? The sun is not moonlight now.
I say it is the moon that shines so bright.
I know it is the sun that shines so bright.
I'm a mother's son, and that's myself. It shall be moon or star or what I list, or ere I'll journey to your father's house. Go on and fetch the horses. Evermore cross, and nothing but crossed.
Say as he says, or we shall never go.
Forward, I pray, since we have come so far, and be it the moon or sun or what you please, and if you please to call it a rush candle, henceforth I vow it shall be so for me.
I say it is the moon.
I know it is the moon.
Nay, then you lie. It is the blessed sun.
Then God be blessed, it is the blessed sun, but sun it is not when you say it is not, and the moon changes, even as your mind. What you will have it named, even that it is, and so it shall be so for Catherine.
Petruchio, go thy ways, the field is won.
Well, forward, and thus the bull should run, and not unluckily against the bias. But stop. Company is coming here. Good morrow, gentle mistress. Where away? Tell me, Kate, and tell me truly, too, have you ever beheld such a fair, gentlewoman? Such war of white and beauty within her cheeks. What stars you spangle heaven with such a beauty as those two eyes become that heavenly face? Fair lovely maid, once more, good day to thee. Sweet Kate, embrace her for her beauty's sake.
A will make the man mad to make a woman of him.
Young budding virgin, fair and fresh and sweet, whither way, where is thy abode? Happy the parents of so fair a child, happier the man whom favorable stars allot thee for his lovely bedfellow.
Why, how now, Kate? I hope thou art not mad. This is a man, old, wrinkled, faded, withered, and not the maiden that thou sayest he is.
Pardon, old father, my mistaking eyes. I have been so bedazzled with the sun that everything I look on seemeth green. Now I perceive thou art a reverend father. Pardon, I pray thee, for my mad mistaking.
Do good, old grandsire, and we'll make known which way thou travellest. If along with us, we shall be joyful of thy company.
Fair sir, and you, my merry mistress, that with your strange encounter much amazed me. My name is called Vincentio, my dwelling Pisa, and bound I am to Padua, there to visit a son of mine which long I have not seen.
What is his name?
Lucentio, gentle sir.
Happily met, and happier for thy son, and now by law as well as reverend age, I may entitle thee my loving father, the sister to my wife, this gentlewoman. My son this hath married, wonder not nor be grieved, she is of good esteem, her dowry wealthy, and of worthy birth, besides so qualified as may beseem the spouse of any noble gentleman. Let me embrace with old Vicentio, and wander we to seek thy honest son, who will of thy arrival be full joyous.
But is this true, or is it else your pleasure, like pleasant travelers, to break a jest upon the company you overtake? I do assure thee, father, so it is.
Come, go along and see the truth hereof, for our first merriment hath made thee jealous.
Well, Petruchio, this has put me in heart. How to my widow, and if she be froward, then thou hast taught Hortensio to be untoward.
So this scene takes place after the hero of the wedding, and so Petruchio is traveling with his wife and his servants to go see the newlywed couple and to visit the fathers. And what he's trying to do on the journey is train Kate by making her believe to see whatever he wants her to see.
Yeah, I think this is an important moment in the taming of Katerina as a shrew. When you start with the scene, you have Katerina saying, like, oh, I know it is the sun, it's not the moon, kind of thing. And then he threatens her, like, oh, we'll go back, I'll get the horses, we're going home, I'll turn this car around, Missy, if you don't listen to me. So then she realizes, oh, I have to do what he says if I want to get what I want.
And in this scene, her Vincentio appears, and it kind of foreshadows how he will later look for Lucentio and finds that it's someone else disguised as Lucentio instead of him, and then all this chaos happens. So this is like the scene that foreshadows what is going to happen to Vincentio.
So I think also when he's comparing it to a moon, it's also kind of almost using the polar opposite in the way that their relationship is, and I think that's a kind of cool point as well.
Also, another thing about Katerina learning to play Petruchio's game of, obeying him. When Vincentio comes and Petruchio says that it's a maiden, a beautiful woman, and it's very obviously that it's an old man. And Katerina just goes with it, and she's learning that if she just sticks with it, she won't be punished. And so she's learning, like, even just to put up with his foolishness and just agree with whatever he says. And I think that's a really big change for her, because before, if anyone said something that she thought was against her or wrong, she would just immediately disagree or, like, throw a fit or be really mean about it. But now she's just calmly, like, going, like, oh, I'll go with the flow, young, beautiful virgin. This fits a couple themes that are portrayed in here. One of them definitely lies in deceit. When you have Vincentio coming and you have Petruchio telling, oh yeah, like Lucentio is gonna marry one of the sisters, and Vincentio is like, what? I don't remember this. So you know immediately that he's learned that someone's pretending to be him. Yeah, and then also there's one on like the marriage, on how there's a lot of give and take in marriage, and although it follows the old principles of the wife must obey and conform to everything the husband says, it also shows how that when Katerina obeys Petruchio, she gets what she wants, and vice versa. When Petruchio will give her what she wants, and he'll get what he wants as well. So it shows that you have to be in harmony with each other if you want there to be a balance in marriage.
Yeah, I'd say that this scene is really the beginning of the unraveling of the disguises that Tranio and Lucentio had set up. Because it's the moment that the viewer and the characters in the book discover Vicentio is, the true father, and that things are not really as they seem.
So, another thing I noticed that was really interesting and about a characterization of Petruchio is that there's a scene where Katerina disagrees, saying like, I know it's a son. He's like, oh, by my mother's son, which is me, I say it is the moon, and I noticed it's really kind of funny, because he's kind of acting like a young, stubborn boy, saying like, well, I say it is, so it is. And so I noticed that's kind of like him trying to assert his like dominance, like control over Katerina. And he's doing it in a rather immature, stubborn way.
Also, in the beginning of the scene, when Katharina and Petruchio are bickering about the sun and the moon, he later goes on to say about, now by my mother's son, and that is a pun with the sun in the sky and him being his mom's son.
Petruchio, throughout Taming of the Shrew, he seems to love using figurative language, especially when he says things like, oh, are those two eyes become that heavenly face, fair lovely maid, once more good day to thee, sweet Kate, talking about fresher gentle and red within her cheeks, such warm white. He uses a lot of figurative language, more so than any of the other characters. I think that shows more about how he seems more poetic. He's educated. He's not just mumbling like Hortensio. He's like, go thy way, the field is won, like Hortensio. He just says comments. Petruchio has a very varied vocabulary. I think the use of all his figurative language, of these similes and metaphors and descriptions of beauty, it really add a lot to not just the scene but the whole play. It adds more character and description to the people, and it makes it seem almost artistic.
I feel like the way that he says, when Petruchio says, do good old Grandshire, like the word Grandshire is really, it's a really fancy word. It's a very formal way of addressing, and he doesn't really use words like that towards Kate. He always is calling her sweet, and lovely and fair, and it's almost like sugarcoating it almost turns into like an insult. But in the way he says, old Grandshire, it's very formal and shows that he has a lot of respect for this other character.
He's talking to Vincentio, and it's like, and now by law, as well as reverend age, I may entitle thee my loving father, the sister to my wife, this gentlewoman. And he's like praising Vincentio, even though he before like kind of made fun of him of being a woman. Petruchio just doesn't seem like he seems like a really rude person, so you wouldn't think of him to speak so highly of someone else like that.
Yeah, that's kind of like how I think it was like Megan. It's like, it sounds kind of like he's mocking, because he comes to like the wedding dressed in rags and a goofy outfit, and here he is like talking, really formally and with manners to like someone, and it's like he can recognize his elders and he does treat them with respect, or he's just like, he knows what's gonna happen and he's kind of like, he's making a joke like, oh, like he's like, oh yeah, your daughter's come, like, oh yeah, your son's going to marry your daughter, and you're going to marry her, and he's like, wait a second, I don't hear about this. And he's like, oh yeah, so good sir. Sounds kind of like it does sound like he's mocking him.
Yeah, it's weird to think of Petruchio saying that.
Yeah, the actors did really good.
Right? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Peace.